You know how a Paul McCartney tune can just get into your brain and stay there for days or even years? These songs, these earworms, they feel so natural, right? Almost like they were just discovered, not written. But what if I told you there's a secret ingredient, a kind of formula that connects his music directly to the classical masters from way back in the 19th century? Okay, so let's really get into this. Why are his songs so unbelievably sticky? The answer isn't just about a catchy pop hook. We're going to peel back the curtain and look at the hidden architecture behind some of the most memorable melodies ever written. And it turns out, the reason these songs have such incredible staying power is rooted in a tradition that's a lot older than rock and roll. And this is where it gets really fascinating. To understand McCartney's genius in the 1960s, you actually have to look back to composers like Franz Schubert in the 1820s. Yeah, I know. It sounds like a stretch, but this connection, it's the absolute key to his melodic gift. So those unforgettable melodies, they aren't just pop instinct. What McCartney was doing, maybe without even realizing it, was using the exact same powerful techniques as the great romantic composers. We're talking Schubert, Schumann, Tchaikovsky. He's basically a modern-day romantic. So let's start breaking it down. The first secret to why his melodies are so easy to sing is, believe it or not, their incredible simplicity. First up, we've got something called conjunct motion. A lot of songs have melodies that jump all over the place, big, wide leaps that can be hard to sing. But McCartney's tunes, they often just move smoothly, one note at a time, like you're walking up or down a set of stairs. That stepwise motion is what makes them feel so natural and just so singable. A perfect example? Eleanor Rigby. Just hum it for a second. The melody just climbs and falls one step at a time. This is a direct echo of the 19th century lied, or art song. The whole goal back then was to write a melody that felt so organic it seemed like it had always existed. And that is the McCartney magic. Okay, secret number 2 is periodic phrasing. You can think of this as musical conversation. Our brains are wired to love symmetry, to love balance. And this technique gives our brains exactly what they want. It sets up a little musical cliffhanger, and then it resolves it. It's a really simple 2-part structure. The first phrase asks a musical question. It feels a little incomplete, like it's hanging in the air. And then, bam, the second phrase comes in with the answer, giving you that amazing feeling of closure. Just think about the beginning of Let It Be. The first part, when I find myself in times of trouble, see how that feels like a question? It needs something more. Then comes the answer, Mother Mary comes to me. It feels resolved, complete. That's a classic structure from the Romantic era, and it makes the melody feel both inevitable and deeply satisfying. All right, so we've looked at the basic structure, but how did he make these songs so emotional? Let's get into the specific tools he uses to really pull at your heartstrings. He does this with a beautiful little device called the appoggiatura. The best way to think of it is as a musical sigh. It's one single note that leans against the main chord, creating this brief, gorgeous moment of tension before it finally resolves. That sound, that is the sound of longing, of melancholy. It's a total cornerstone of romantic music. And this isn't some abstract idea you just read about. You can actually feel it. This leaning note creates a real, tangible, physical pull on your ear, drawing you in and making you wait for that sweet release. Think about the long and winding road. You know those long, achy notes in the melody? The ones that just drip with feeling? That is the exact same harmonic trick that Tchaikovsky would have used to create that same powerful, bittersweet emotion. It is absolutely timeless. McCartney also brought this romantic idea of harmonic color into his music. You know, a lot of early rock and roll stuck to a pretty simple 3-chord structure. But McCartney was constantly throwing in unexpected chords, using things like secondary dominance and chromatic shifts to completely change the mood, the whole temperature of a song. Penny Lane is the perfect example of this. The song is just packed with these surprising key changes that make the whole scene feel so vivid and almost dreamlike. It's less like a typical rock song and more like a romantic-era tone poem, painting a rich picture with sound. Okay. So he's got these perfect building blocks, right? Singable melodies, balanced phrases, emotional chords. Now, let's see how he puts it all together to create those massive, unforgettable climaxes we all know and love. He often uses a classic structure that music nerds call the sentence. It's this incredible, romantic technique for building tension systematically to generate a huge emotional payoff. And it works like this. First, you state a short musical idea. Then you repeat it right away so it gets stuck in the listener's head. And then, this is the cool part, you start to stretch it and pull it apart, building and building, until it hits this huge peak before that final satisfying release. And the ultimate case study for this is, of course, the end of Hey Jude. That whole na-na-na section isn't just a random catchy chant. It is a perfectly executed musical sentence. It repeats and builds with this almost symphonic power until it creates one of the biggest, most powerful emotional releases in the history of pop music. So you see, when you put all these pieces of the puzzle together, the picture becomes so clear. Paul McCartney wasn't just writing amazing pop songs. He was channeling a deep, powerful, and classic musical tradition. And this right here is the main takeaway. His melodies have lasted because they're built on something called vocalism, this classical idea that the melody is the purest expression of the human soul. He wasn't just writing hits for the radio, he was elevating the pop song to a form of high art. So when you listen to McCartney, what you're really hearing are the echoes of the great romantics just reimagined for a new time. He kind of closes the circle, connecting the peak of the Romantic era with the peak of the Beatles, and proving that a truly great melody never, ever goes out of style. And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. If the secrets to McCartney's timeless music are buried over a century in the past, it really makes you wonder, what classical echoes are hiding in the music we're all listening to today? And whose echoes will we hear in the music of the future?